Hello students, today we will be studying Moral Science chapter 7 and the name of the chapter is Panch Parmeshwar. Students, the name of this chapter is in Hindi. As we read it, Panch Parmeshwar, you might have studied in your civics chapters that we do have a panchayat in villages, and the head of those panchayat is known as the Panch or the Sarpanch. So dear students, this story is also about a panchayat in which there is a Panch and how he deals with the matter of the panchayat. So why is it written Panch Parmeshwar? Parmeshwar means God, and the post of a Panch is like God. He has to behave like God at his post. When he stands there to speak or to do justice to people, he has to be very just in his behavior. At his position, he cannot be partial. He should not be partial towards any party. Instead, he has to listen to both the parties and he has to give a just solution to the problem. And that is why the name of the chapter says Panch Parmeshwar. We will see how in this story the Panch carries out his duty like Parmeshwar or God, and how he proves to be just in his duty. So students, before beginning this story, I would like to give you vocabulary, some difficult words from the chapter. The first word is staunch. Staunch is someone who is very loyal and committed in his or her attitude. The next word is devout. Devout means having deep religious faith. Next one is taunt. You might have heard this word many a times, that we pass taunt on others. We do taunting, and the meaning of taunt is to try to make somebody upset by saying something. Next word is allowance. Students, you might have heard this word allowance in the salaries of your parents. Maybe they might be getting house rent allowance or traveling allowance. This is the payment of a specific amount of money. Like if they are getting paid the house rent allowance, it means that expense is being paid to them for paying their rent of the house in which they are staying. And then the traveling allowance, suppose if your parents or anyone is doing a job in which they have to travel, so the cost of traveling, the fare of traveling is paid by their employers, and that is traveling allowance. And apart from that, sometimes when a wife and husband are separated, usually husbands pay some allowance to the wives to survive. Apart from that, if there are old parents and if children are not keeping their parents with them, they have to pay some allowance to them for their expenses. So that is the meaning of allowance, an amount of money that you receive regularly for your expenses. The next word, students, is garnering. Garnering is obtain or collect information or support. To take support, to expect support from somebody, that is mean garnering, or to collect information. Next word is integrity. Integrity means the quality of being honest and just. Next is reposing. Reposing means to be in a particular place. And the last word is tactfulness. Tactfulness means to say something at the right time, in a right manner, and without offending anybody. That is the meaning of tactfulness. So let's begin today's story. Dear students, this story speaks about two friends who live in a village. One friend is a Hindu, his name is Alagu Chaudhary, and the other one is Jumman Sheikh, who is a Muslim. And these two have a very close friendship. Their friendship is very famous and very talked about in the village. They are the closest of friends. So this Jumman Sheikh has a wife whose name is Nariman, and he also has his aunt whom he calls Khalajan. So they have a very good relation with their Khalajan. Both Jumman and his wife Nariman have a good relation with their Khalajan. Now this Khalajan, she also loves them a lot, and in that love, out of love, she transfers whole her property in his name, in Jumman Sheikh's name. So when the property is being named or transferred from Khalajan to Jumman Sheikh, both of them, both Nariman and Jumman Sheikh, treat Khalajan very nicely. They take care of her, they give her food and do everything possible for her. But students, as we see in many cases, slowly and gradually, both of them become offensive towards Khalajan. Now they start taking Khalajan as a burden. They start ignoring her requirements, and his wife is usually taunting Khalajan, and she is not ready to even give food to her. Khalajan usually remains hungry, and she is not even getting the 3 meals of the day. And that is why, after bearing a lot, Khalajan decides to talk to Alagu Chaudhary. And not Alagu Chaudhary, she talks to his nephew, and that is Jumman Sheikh, and she says that I want a monthly allowance. As we read in the word meanings, monthly allowance means a particular amount of expense that is paid to someone. So she says that I want a monthly allowance for staying separate, and I will have my own kitchen, I will cook on my own. But Jumman Sheikh by no means is ready to pay anything to Khalajan. He says, I am not able to pay you any money. And so Khalajan says, she threatened him and said, if you are not able to pay me any money, I will call a panchayat. So this Jumman Sheikh he is very happy because he is a well-known person in the village, and he knows that everyone is going to support him in panchayat. And so he says to Khalajan, okay, you call a panchayat, I don't have a problem. So now Khalajan, for the next few days, she goes door to door asking support from people, and that is what we read here, garnering. That means obtaining support. So asking support from people, she visited door to door, but people were not willing to support her. And in the end, she reached Alagu Chaudhary's house, and she talked to him about her problem and about calling panchayat. So Alagu Chaudhary said, okay, I will be present in the panchayat, but I won't speak anything. I'll only witness everything silently, since Jumman Sheikh is my closest friend. But what Khalajan says, she said, is your friendship more important than your integrity? Integrity, students, just now we saw the meaning of integrity, the quality of being honest and having strong moral attitude. She says, is your honesty more important? Is your integrity more important, or your friendship? And she leaves from there. So Alagu Chaudhary, even though he had said that I will be witnessing the panchayat silently, once Khalajan left, he was left to think about her statement, the comment that she said, and he was thinking that is my friendship more important or my integrity? And on the day of panchayat, he reaches there. Still, he had friendship with Jumman Sheikh, so he was quietly sitting there. And then Khalajan was asked to choose her panch. Khalajan chooses Alagu Chaudhary to be her panch. And what Algu Chaudhary says, he said, Khalajan, you already know that Juman Sheikh is my close friend. But Khalajan said, I only know that the position of a punch is like that of God. It will not be you who will be speaking from this position, but God himself. So I trust in you. And she appointed Algu Chaudhary as Sarpanch. And as soon as he was appointed as Sarpanch, he took the responsibility, and in his mind he decided that he will be just to whatever is being discussed over there. So now Juman Sheikh was very happy. He knew Algu Chaudhary is definitely going to support him alone. And so both the parties spoke about their matter, and Algu Chaudhary inquired from Juman Sheikh, asked few questions, but Juman Sheikh did not take him so seriously because he knew that Algu Chaudhary will be in my favor only. So then, in the end, Algu Chaudhary said that after hearing all the comments and all the matter, I come to this conclusion that Juman Sheikh has to pay a monthly allowance to Khalajan, because he has got her property and he is earning money from that property. So whatever money he is earning from that, he can pay a particular amount of allowance to Khalajan. And if he is not willing to pay the allowance, or if he thinks that he is not earning good amount of money from her property, he can return that property to Khalajan. So this was the conclusion of Panchayat. And from that day, Juman Sheikh became Algu Chaudhary's enemy. And now he was looking for a moment, looking for such a moment where he can take revenge for this incident. And after few days, he got that moment. Algu Chaudhary had bought 2 bullocks, and one of the bullock had died. So he decided that he will sell the next bullock also, and this bullock was healthy and fit. He sells the bullock to Sanju Sahu, who is one of the villager. Now this Sanju Sahu was very cruel. He took the bullock. He had not paid the money to Algu Chaudhary. Instead he said that I will be paying the money in a month. So Algu Chaudhary agreed to his condition and he gave the bullock to Sanju Sahu. What the Sanju Sahu did was, he took extra work from this bullock. He made this bullock to travel a lot of times in a day, and with a lot of burden, with a lot of heavy material he used to place on him, on the cart. He attached a cart with the bullock and a lot of heavy things he used to place on that cart, and he made this bullock to run a lot whole day. And apart from that, he did not even give it proper food to eat to this bullock. And so this bullock was becoming weak and weak day by day. He was not able to work this much because he was taking extra work from the bullock without giving him proper nourishment. So what happened one day, when he placed extra heavy things in the cart, the bullock became weak and collapsed, and it died. And when the bullock died, after few days, Algu Chaudhary asked for money from Sanju Sahu. But Sanju Sahu was not ready to pay any money, and he said that you had given me a half-dead bullock who died after few days, so why should I pay you money? But Algu Chaudhary already knew that he had sold a fit and healthy bullock to Sanju Sahu, and Sanju Sahu was trying to cheat him. So ultimately Algu Chaudhary had to call a panchayat because Sanju Sahu was not ready to pay any money by any means to Algu Chaudhary. So a panchayat was called and Sanju Sahu was asked to choose his panch. And immediately Sanju Sahu chose Juman Sheikh to be his panch, as he knew that the two had become enemies and he knew that Juman Sheikh will definitely be in his favor. So he chose Juman Sheikh to be his panch. As soon as Juman Sheikh was appointed panch, he thought in his mind that I am at a position where I have to be just. I will hear the cases from the both sides and I will be just in my behavior. And after hearing all the matter from both of them, Juman Sheikh gave the decision that Algu Chaudhary had sold healthy bullock to Sanju Sahu, and it was because of Sanju Sahu's fault that the bullock had died. So Sanju Sahu had to pay full amount to Algu Chaudhary, and it depends on Algu Chaudhary whether he wants to give some concession to Sanju Sahu or not, because bullock had died due to the cruel behavior of Sanju Sahu and not because of health reasons, not because Algu Chaudhary had sold him a weak bullock. He had sold him a fit and healthy bullock. And this was a decision given by Juman Sheikh. Algu Chaudhary was very happy to hear this, and both of them embraced each other and they became friends again. So dear students, with this we come to an end of this story, and I hope you have enjoyed the story and you have learned something out of it. See, even though Juman Sheikh had become his enemy, Algu Chaudhary's enemy, but how justly he behaved. And now you might have understood that the post of Sarpanch is a very important post. At his post, he cannot be unjust or partial towards anyone. He has to be impartial towards everyone, and he has to behave like God. And that is where the name of the chapter comes, Panch Parmeshwar. In the end of the panchayat, Algu Chaudhary shouts with joy, Panch Parmeshwar ki Jai. So students, this was all about the story. You can go to the story again and you can think about it, what other lessons you get from it. How just are we in our lives? If we get a chance to give a decision for our enemy, will we be just or will we try to go against the other person who is our enemy? So students, whenever we are given a post, there is a saying that if we are honest in little things, we will be honest in greater things. So whenever a post is given to us, a responsibility is given to us, we have to deal with it very honestly. We have to be just and we have to think again, like Khalajan said to Algu Chaudhary, is your integrity more important or your friendship? So students, you also have to think like this in your life. Is my integrity more important? Is my honesty more important? Or the other things that I value in my life? So dear students, that was all about today's story. Thank you.